Welcome back to the final game of QXC versus Adelscott. We are here in the TSL round of 16, day number 2, and we have moved over to Tal'Darim Altar. Adelscott spawning as the blue Protoss in the top right, his opponent, the harassment-based Terran, in the bottom right, QXC.
And this is, as you mentioned, the last game. So whatever we watched, that does not matter anymore, as we are in what I like to call the ace match. It's just going to be, assume that it's a one versus, or a best of one right now, because obviously it's a 1 versus 1. But it's the last game, and if the most minor mistake can prevent you from getting to the round of 8 in this very prestigious tournament, the TSL3. So both players are on the wire here. If anyone slips, they're going to fall to their doom and be completely knocked out of this tournament. I couldn't think of a better map to watch it on, as it is going to once again be a huge macro style map here, which does allow for crazy harassment. Just looking around at the bases, the natural is of course right outside your base, as they tend to be, but the third base does have a huge wide open entrance on the left side, as well as a ramp leading up to it. So it'll be interesting to see if both these players, especially since they're spawning fairly close to each other, if they're able to safely secure those thirds, or if QXC decides to continue being aggressive here, as we've seen in the other games. So again, between these two players, I love that their playstyle is so different that we just kind of have to see if they're going to stick to what they know or try and throw off their opponent who's probably been practicing for that playstyle.
Yeah, and I don't foresee QXC turning off the aggression. I feel like it's like a leaky faucet. You can't fully turn it off. It's just in his being to be aggressive as Terran in StarCraft 2. Just going through the map analysis a little bit more, as we continue to say this is a good map for both players. Yes, you have a fairly easy third, but it's not... it doesn't have that many mineral patches. It's only got a single Vespian Geyser. There's a back entrance into it, so that's going to favor more harassment-based play. The main is a little bit small, so not a lot of opportunities for drops, except in Adelscott's main base on the southern end. There's this little plateau which gives a lot of opportunities for dropping into, as the SCV for QXC is going to roll into his main base, and we're going to see QXC go for a 2 barracks opening, and he's rallied directly into Adelscott's main. So that's very interesting, and I want to take this moment to say, if you're looking for more StarCraft after this, go ahead and check out the GSL Code S, which is going to be starting up very soon. Go ahead and give some support to Tastosis, the Casting Archon, and we've got Liquid Huck, we've got Liquid Jinro in there, and also Jisato is going to be rebroadcasting these in Korean, so thanks a lot to those guys over at gomtv.net.
Now, we do have that second barracks just now finishing up. We have the reactor as well. That's the add-on of choice for QXC right now. So he very well could be aggressive here with these Marines, and if it doesn't work out, maybe throw down that expansion. The SCV is going to scout up here. He's going to see a completely standard Protoss opener. Once again, seeing all 3 pylons. Not a single one of those is going to be hidden. We do have the gateway tech on the way, as well as that first Stalker. So it's going to be interesting to me to see how Adelscott follows this up, because he could be going against a very heavy Marine army here, although we also have concussive shells being upgraded as well. So it definitely looks like QXC is going to be aggressive here. I mean, all signs are pointing to that. Not only getting the reactor, cranking out 2 Marines at a time, but also going for that concussive shells. And it looks like Adelscott going for an expansion. This time the supply is going to be at 30. He's not getting it at 14 or anything crazy like that. But that means he's only on 1 gateway here for a little while, just now starting that second one.
Now, this is going to be extremely close. This is not a hard counter by any means, where 2 barracks just kills 1 gateway expansion. You can defend this. The ideal defense in my eyes is 2 zealots and 2 stalkers when the attack comes. This is a situation I've been in many times, but it's not impossible to defend. It's going to be up to Adelscott to really, get wind of this coming and then start using his chrono boost to crank out a ton of units. His warp gate is on the way. He's got gateway number 2 and 3 coming as QXC is approaching his main base. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, and the timing of this is going to hit for QXC right after these gateways, or right after the gateway tech is going to be kicking in. So again, if it's going to favor Adelscott at all, it's going to be because those gateways are just now finishing. The bunker for QXC has been begun constructing right here at the expansion, and we'll see if that's going to be in range of that Nexus. It looks like it will be, and I like how QXC is being very timid here, because he's got to know that that warp gate technology is nearly completed. Here come the transferring probes right now. He may use this in the army. He is indeed. Can he delay this bunker from being created? There's only 1 SCV brought up here, so he snipes at SCV. It will not be completed. Maybe force again. The 1-4-2 got to be not trapping the Marines, but not allowing them to get a full concave. One of the Marauders not even shooting during this battle. The bunker has finished though, but there's only 1 SCV to repair it. Adelscott needs to focus that down. There he goes right now, and at least the units inside going to be as cost effective as possible because they were inside that bunker, and it does look like Adelscott will hold. QXC's expansion timing will be fairly far behind, as it is only halfway in completion. He also has a factory and another barracks on the way. So looking at the supply counts, it is now 30 for the Terran, 44 for Adelscott, heavily favoring Adelscott right now.
Right, and Adelscott is going to be feeling very comfortable because QXC has shown his hand. Adelscott doesn't have to sit back and wonder, well, are Banshees coming? What's the transition? He knows QXC is going to be a little bit timid, throwing up his expansion, and we can see through our magical observer eyes that yes, he is being timid, putting up that bunker, got his expansion on the way, and Adelscott is perfect. He's got the perfect response here, putting down that forge, going to move on to upgrades to just bolster the utility of his standard gateway units. He's got those 3 warp gates on the way. I wouldn't be surprised to see him drop 1 or 2 more, and then a robotics, just because he will need it eventually with the forge completing. He's probably going to go for armor, and yes, there it is, Chrono Boost being dropped on a lot of stuff right now, actually Chrono Boosting out the probes. And the Harvester count 36 for Adelscott, 27 for QXC, so very comfortable and nice position for Adelscott here in game number 5.
And Adelscott's also been sitting around 400 minerals for about a minute, and I was going to ask why, but it's very obvious now. He does have his probe going out to this other base. We'll see if he decides to drop down that 3rd base. Well, I mean, a lot of players, once you get ahead, the best response for them is to get further and further ahead. He realizes that is going to take that 3rd base right now. The Nexus is on the way. Keeping in mind that QXC hasn't even landed his orbital command yet at his own natural. It's going to be dropping down right now. The SCVs are going to be transferring over there, and we do have a starport completed inside QXC's base, as well as a factory going to be doing that reactor. May just swap those out. And again, I think we've basically seen Marine Marauder almost every single game here from QXC, so that's very obvious. The build he's been practicing, the one he is most comfortable with moving forward here, and he has an engineering bay as well as combat shields on the way just to bolster that. And a Twilight Council on the way for Adelscott. Not too surprised here, as we've seen him get it virtually every game that goes into the late game.
Yeah, this game reminds me of game number 3, where Adelscott builds a Twilight Council, then cancels it, expands, and then builds it again at his natural. Like, this is the 2nd game I've seen him go through that exact motion, so really funny kind of moment there that he's done again and again. And now dropping his QXC on the southern area, but it looks like Adelscott is already ready for this. He's got a lot of stalkers here. QXC cannot engage his head-on. Looks like he's just going to sacrifice the Marauders to take out as many stalkers as he can, and he actually gets out of there? Really? Wow. Medevacs are amazing, and now Adelscott forced to just sit back and relax and run away. He's not taking any chances here, as we mentioned. 2 cannons in case Cloak Banshees come up. He's finished +1, +2 armor now on the way as the Twilight Council has completed, getting Blink to deal with any sort of drop harassment. And there's 2 ways to come back, as we've mentioned in the game where Adelscott got behind. You can either go all in, or I guess there's 3. You can either go all in, which obviously QXC is not going to do. You can just give up your economy and basically try to go 200-200. I don't think QXC is going to do that either. The other way to get back in is to just pick your opponent apart with harassment. Hope he spreads himself out a little too thin, and I think that's going to be QXC's 1 ticket to get back in here in game number 5.
Now, unfortunately for QXC, I was keeping an eye on the supply counts during that battle. He was supply blocked for the majority of that drop, and there were units just kind of sitting there waiting to be made, wishing they had a home, but unfortunately that is going to delay his medevac count, and on top of that, it also delays that medevac energy, and when you're playing from behind, you need everything you can to keep yourself in this game. There is more medevacs on the way. It looks like 2 medevacs full of Marauders. There's a couple Marines there as well. Another Marine on the top center side going to be scouting that expansion. It is undefended, just 1 cannon being warped in right now, and we mentioned that he needs to try and do drops to keep himself in this game. That's exactly what he's going to do. There is 1 cannon here to delay this drop at least, to prevent the probe from going down right away, and the drop in the main base. We'll see if he can make any miracle happen right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Looks like Adelscott is not aware of that drop in the natural continuing to go on. Stalker is able to blink forward now with that blink research complete, so the natural drop has been cleaned out, and Adelscott moving forward immediately. Forge is going to go down for Adelscott, but I don't feel like he's going to miss that too much. He's going to drop Forge number 2 and 3 in his main base, and he's going to complete 4 more gateways as he cleans up that drop. Supplies are evening up a little bit. QXC, of course, just donated a few of those units to deal with the upgrades of Adelscott to slow them down. But before that point, they were getting pretty close, but now they're 120 versus 85. QXC is trying to float out, take his 3rd base. Let's watch if he turns that into an orbital, or if he's needs to get it to a planetary, if he's worried of any sort of attacks coming from Adelscott.
I cannot believe, just looking at Adelscott, the type of builds that he goes. I do want to mention that Forge went down right before Armor Level 2 completed, so that is pretty frustrating, but he does not, I believe he doesn't have a Robo Bay, unless I'm missing it somewhere, and we are 13, almost 14 minutes into this game, still just sticking with those gateway units. He doesn't have Zealot Charge quite yet. It is nearly completed. Blink has been done. The 4th base for Adelscott is going down right now in that top center. That expansion much more healthy than the one that QXC just grabbed because of those 8 mineral patches as well as 2 geysers. So he literally just beefs his way with gateway units, which I think is very unique style, and we'll probably be seeing it more and more here. And right now he does have that +1 armor upgrade. QXC, though, does have +1 attack.
QXC on the map with 4 or 5 Marines. I'm not sure where these are headed. Looks like they want to go to the new expansion of Adelscott. It's a little bit surprising to me. I'm going to keep an eye on where those are going. He's not aware of the 12 o'clock expansion. Meanwhile, a lot of units moving to the 3rd base of QXC, and unfortunately, he's turned that into an orbital. He does have EMP, but he misses with the EMP, hitting only a single Zealot. That is huge for Adelscott. He's able to move forward, blink forward, and now set up a force field wall, trying to isolate the SCVs, but unfortunately they do slip through. Looks like the orbital is going to be taken out, but QXC has to be happy that he got the majority of his SCVs away, but he's not going to be happy that Adelscott is continuing to press forward. Oh my god, big EMPs going down on the majority of the units, and this is a battle for the ages. QXC trying to micro for his life in the TSL3. Adelscott trying to end that life as he continues to press forward with only gateway units on +1 armor. QXC dancing back and forth, bringing his SCVs, bringing in his mules. Blinking forward yet again is Adelscott. He may be able to finish right here. A lot of units coming off yet again. A lot of SCVs coming off. This may be it. I feel like Adelscott is actually breaking through, and that is it! GG. Adelscott does the unbelievable, coming back on big maps, weathering the storm against QXC's unbelievable harassment, and winning 3-2 against QXC to advance to the round of 8.
Wow, so our first series, a lot of you may think, well, that's it for today. No, that was only one series, and it was such a long and epic series that I couldn't have asked for more. I gotta hand it to Adelscott, once again showcasing his crazy playstyle where he just utilizes mostly gateway units and tries to get out those upgrades as quickly as possible. He is showing us why more and more Protoss out there are opting to get that +1 armor upgrade, especially coupled with Guardian Shields, make Marines. I mean, it's like you're getting hit by a wet noodle with them, and that's exactly what he showcased. Just looking at the main base of Adelscott, I still have the replay open. All he has is gateways. There is nothing else. There's no sneaky DTs. There's no High Templar. There's no Colossus.
Yeah, but he's got 10 of them.
Yeah, and he has enough that he can just keep himself in the game with just gateway units. And it's kind of entertaining to me because we have seen Terran players do this with the barracks units, the Marine and Marauder, since day one. And now we kind of see Protoss going, okay, well, I'm not going to tech up either. I'm just going to stick on these tier 1 and 2 units and do just fine with that. And so QXC did showcase a very, very good series here, though I definitely don't want to take anything away from him. His harassment style paid off in the games that he won for sure. And then he's got to be kicking himself over that first game because that's the only game that was, I believe, under 10 minutes. And then all the other games, I mean, he definitely held his own. But Adelscott showing us that crazy style of play that we saw before, and it is still working for him in this round of the tournament.
Yeah, I think Adelscott has really made a name for himself in Protoss vs. Terran, and the good news is, moving on to the round of 8, he's going to be playing the winner of our next two competitors, and they're both Terrans. So we're going to be seeing Adelscott in the round of 8 playing another PVT, and that's ridiculously exciting for me because I don't actually know what his other matchups are, but I know me likey Adelscott PVT. Let me tell you, it's pretty sick to watch. And so let's go ahead and introduce our next series. We're going to jump right into that. This has been a bit of a longer day than yesterday, and that's always enjoyable. That was a fantastic series to watch. Series number 2, if you don't know who OGS Nada is, you should probably just shut your computer off because he's one of the most famous StarCraft players, if not the, I would say, second most famous Brood War player. Just a fantastic Terran, now switched over to StarCraft 2, as he said he wanted to be competitive. Gone back to school, I believe, so hasn't had a complete dedication to StarCraft 2 that he had in Brood War, and that may be an opportunity for his Terran opponent, Empire Kaz, to slip in there and take this series off him.
Yeah, and as I want to mention, kind of like I did with QXC, Empire Cass has gone against Adelscott, and that was in the very first qualifier, and he defeated Adelscott, Naniwa, and Ciara. But he has beat Adelscott, and so if by he does advance to face him, there is a chance that Adelscott could get taken out, even though it will be that Protoss versus Terran that we've all come to know and love. And you do mention that Nada has recently gone back to school, but he also still is a super powerful player. He's done really well in the GSL in the past, and anyone who gets that far into GSL, definitely look out for them in this tournament moving forward, because that's going to give you crazy amounts of experience. Plus, he's been playing the game since the dawn of time. He's probably been playing it since before it came out. One of the most, if not the most, successful pro gamers out there. I think a lot of the focus is always on Boxer, but you need to look out for Nada, because he has been playing pretty well recently in the past, and so this is going to be epic. And most people know this, but Nada is going to be from Korea. I think a lot of players automatically favor the Koreans, but this tournament has been the tournament of upsets so far. So again, it could go either way.
And I might burn some bridges here, but between Boxer and Nada, Boxer definitely has more star power, flashier, but I would say that Nada is objectively better than Boxer. So if you want to be watching one Korean Terran in this tournament, it's probably going to want to be OGS Nada. We saw what he did. I believe he had played I don't want to throw out any wrong facts here, but he had only played a little bit of StarCraft 2 when he played that ridiculous TVT series with TLO. TLO had been a student of the game, and we saw how close it was and how amazing that series is. So that's how quickly Nada can pick up this game, and that's why he's nicknamed the Genius Terran. Often comes in with very solid builds, well adapted. Empire Cause, no slouch. Played over 4,000 ladder games of this game, so he's been through the rounds. He's experienced a lot of different situations, and there's no substitution for that kind of experience when you get in a situation and you've played it 15 times before, 10 of them it went this way, 5 of them it went that way, and you have all that experience to call on when you need it. So you can't look past Cause in this match, and especially because, as you mentioned, the TSL has been a bit of a tournament of upsets.
Yeah, and the map pool, really quick, it is going to be slightly different than the last one. It's going to start off with Crevasse, which is one of those huge macro maps. Zelnaga Caverns, which a lot of people love that map because it is fairly balanced. Shakuris Plateau, Tal'Darim Altar, and Metalopolis. So it will end on a Blizzard map should it make it all the way to the fifth game here. So I am super excited. I don't know if I'm forgetting to say things, because I always do, because I just cannot wait for these games, especially with Nada in here. If you guys have followed StarCraft 1 at all, he has always been around, always been, kind of one of the stars of StarCraft. But you know what? It's just going to come down to this series right now, and it is really important that you mentioned that Kaz has played so many games. And, the game is StarCraft 2, so the more you play on this game, StarCraft 1 may not matter as much. So this could go either way. We've seen a lot of upsets. There's very few Koreans left in this tournament. So I guess there's only one way to find out what happens here, Chill.
Yes, there is. I just want to remind everyone, while we still have their attention, to tune in next week. We have Sen, Boxer, Hasuabs, Moro, Naniwa, who just won MLG with the most ridiculous run I've ever seen in my life, Goody, Mondragon, and Cruncher, so you don't want to miss those. But right now, you don't want to miss this. Game number 1 of OGS Nada taking on Empire Cause right after this.